the opening. And we're back. Shiva School Show, wartime morning seder. We're like to learn this. Let's just go through it. Let's at the Shmaya, make sure we get all the Rashis. So it says to these Avnachri. Avnachri, remember, is a Persian word. Avnachri is a Persian word. This might be the Yid that's on the video. Avnachri is a Persian word. So Harry used this word and he's like, what? Right? They're working for the Nasi, meaning they're Yidin. So Harry's like, we're talking about it's happening in Persia. In which case, it seems strange to say that like they were talking about a Jewish land that was stolen. So he says to these Avnachri, Ki zavinto asa migayim, when you are buying hadassim from Akum, lo tigzizu ason, you guys shouldn't do the shearing, the picking. Ella ligazuha inhu, v'yavu l'chu. They should pick it and give it to you. My timer, what's the reason? Stam akum, because your average idolater, he's sacrificing kids to Satan, and so it's not below him necessarily to go and steal some land, Sacrificing kids, drinking their blood to stay young.
What's the plan?
Shalom Aleichem, Chaim Ibn Sugya. Got your Gemara. Not correct. Chaim Ibn Sugya, that's a Chirdo, that's a Chizalman. Hey, Geschmack. Okay, you're gonna sit there, or you can bring the seat closer, everything's good. Okay, so. התחלנו את הסוגיה בסוכה דף למד עמוד א' למטה. אנחנו רק עכשיו עושים חזרה ומתחילים סוגיה חדשה. למד עמוד א' למטה. אמר להו רב הונא lahanu Avnachri, he said to the workers of the Nasi, these Yidden in Persia, because Avnachri is a Persian word, so Harry was medayik that it makes sense that the sugya should be talking about in Chutz La'aretz. And if it's talking about in Chutz La'aretz, then it's not like what Rashi says, because Rashi says, Stam akum gazle ara mi Yisrael. See that Rashi? The last Rashi, Harashi Acharon, Rashi Mosif po b'dibur amadchil shemidabrim Eretz Shal Yisrael. Harry said, wait a second, that's not so clear because why are you using a Persian word? So maybe it's happening in Chutz La'aretz. And then to say that every guy in Chutz La'aretz just goes around stealing land from Yids is a hard mahalach. In Rashi, we're talking about Arad Mi Yisrael, there is one guy who says the reason that Rashi had to add Mi Yisrael is because Gazal Guy is mutter. Shar Ephraim says, we're like, wow, that's a very, very, very extreme shita. I don't think that there's another Yid who holds that, another Talmud Chacham, another shita. Aval Shar, for the fear Shar Ephraim, mutar ligzol. Mutar ligzol migoyim. V'lachen Rashi היה צריך להגיד שסתם עכו"ם גזלי ערה מישראל, כי רק הבעיה, רק תהיה במקרה שהוא גונב את הארץ מישראל. זה לפי שער אפרים ברש"י. יש עוד מישהו שלומד ברש"י, שלא שזה מותר, אלא שאולי לא יהיה את הבעיה של מצווה בעבירה. אוקיי. לא תגזזו אסור, אלא לגזזו אינהו, the goyim should do the geziza. סתם goyim goes גזלני ara אינהו, וקרקע אינה נגזלת. הילגח לגזזוה אינהו, כי היכי דליהבי יש בעלים בידיהו. Did who? Let them pull up the hadassim so that the Gemar Gezela happens in their hands. Maybe the Yerush, the despair happened earlier. But now, there was no shinoi, by Rishus, right? The Yesh Ba'alim already happened when the land was quote unquote stolen by the Goyim. Shini Rishus in the hand of the Avnachri, but then if the Avnachri go and they give it to another regular Yid, so what's the problem? The Avnachri are the ones in trouble. No. Lo tzricha behoshana the Avnachri gufayu. You need it with the hadassim of the Avnachri itself. His lulav can't be from Gazel, right? Now the Gemara is going to ask two more questions. Okay, so we see that we need this. The Rambam and the Rif do not bring this Gemara. And we saw that the reason the Rambam and the Rif don't bring this Gemara is because they paskin that he's not saying a halacha here, he's just saying advice. It's better if it doesn't happen with the Gazela, but in such a case where the Gemara Gazela happens and you pick it, you can still be Yotzei. It's not considered mitzvah b'avera. And that's how the Rambam and the Rif paskin. The Gemara is going to ask two more questions. We're just going to see them quick, and then we're going to go weiter. Hey, what about Shinoi Maisa? Kasavar Lulav Ein Sarich Eged. In the Havamina, right? What the Gemara originally thought was that you can acquire it with a different Shinoi. You can acquire it with the Shinoi of taking this Hadassim. Originally it was just 3 pieces of Hadassim for the eyes. And now it's 3 pieces of Hadassim wrapped around and is made into this powerhouse. It's called a lulav hadassim and a ravos combined. Now, this Tana holds that it doesn't need an eged. So if it doesn't need an eged, so it doesn't really change. It's not a shinoi ma'aseh to tie them together. Ki masita, lo asita shum davar.
Because it's only temporary.
Yeah. Oh, very good. So if you think that a lulav doesn't need an eged, so it doesn't matter that it has one or it doesn't have one, it's the same thing. You didn't change anything, you didn't improve anything, you didn't turn it from something which is not a mitzvah into a mitzvah. There's no difference with the eged. And the imtim tzolomar, and if you find to say lulav tzarich eged, that it does need the eged, the tie, and then so when you tie it, it really is a shina. You changed it from just some hadasiming around into a lulav that you can take for a mitzvah. Says the Gemara, well, if you want to say that shinoi, that the lulav does need an eged, it still won't be a good enough shinoi because it's a shinoi choser libriyaso. It's a temporary change, like Zalman pointed out.
So you're changing it physically and spiritually. Because now you could perform a mitzvah. Prior to that.
But it's not considered a change for the purpose of acquisition at all because it's not a permanent change.
What does it mean?
שאתה מכיר אותו וזה חוזר בדיוק אותו דבר. זה לא שינוי כמו שאתה, like if you would bake flour and turn it into kemach and turn it into ugia. That's a real shinoi. This, you tie it together, it's not a real shinoi because you could just untie it and then it goes right back to what it was originally. מה? זה איראי? איראי, כן. Alright, בדיוק. שינוי החוזר לבריאסai. איראי. But arai. Okay. Alright. That's how I know the word yeshivish. Irai. It's like, there are some words that, like I say them yeshivish when they're said in regular Hebrew. I don't know them. And there are some words that I only know in regular Hebrew. When they're said in yeshivish, I didn't know them. For example, when I grew up, we would always say, ma'aket, right? Make a ma'aket, I was in Rav Ilson's and they called it a maika. I was like, what's a maika? And I found out, ma'aket. So it's a shinoi, choser l'briyazo is not considered a shinoi. May I please have some? Thank you. This is Shlomo juice in Jerusalem, back in Acts. Maybe the way that you can acquire this. Share today's batch about Jews and Jerigs. So maybe you change the name and you can make the kinoi. Because at the beginning we called them Hadassim. Now that it's Sukkot, we can do a mitzvah with them, we're calling them Hoshana. So now that it's different, it's a different name. You change the name. Maybe changing the name is enough to lahachil et hakinyan,
But you're
to
also changing the
make
function.
the acquisition happen. No. Changing the function, Shino in Maisa, we said it's not a real change because it's only a temporary change. And when you change the name, Meikara Nami La'asa Hoshana Karule. Also at the beginning we call it a Hoshana. It's like, Harry, you're gonna get some good Hoshanas this year. Right? He knows what I'm talking about. He's like, why are you calling them Hoshanas? It's not Yantiv yet. It's not gonna say that. Everyone knows what I'm saying. So therefore it's not considered a change of name. Shino Hashem. And now, Amid Aleph, New Gemara, Hu, Sva, Hum, Da. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, Zalman. When we see Tanu Rabbanan, second line, when we see this Tanu Rabbanan, this tough reish, Tanu Rabbanan, it means that it's a brisa. They're going to bring for us now a brisa. A brisa, we remember, is not, it's not in the Mishnah, but it is Tanaic. The Tanaim, they wrote a lot of stuff. They wrote a lot of different stuff to themselves to try to remember it and understand and to keep the Torah going. But before Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi came and he canonized it, you know? But there were a lot of things that were left out of the Mishnah. What are we going to do? Throw them out? It's Tyra from the Halakha Tana. So we put them in brisas. Amen. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught in a Halakha brisa. Sukkah Gezula, v'hamesachich b'rishus harabim. If you steal the actual sukkah, or if you put the schach on top of the sukkah, in Rishus Harabim, what is it, like hanging over? We're talking about a hangover case, will be? Rabbi Eliezer says pasul. And the Chachamim say machshir, and it's alright, don't worry about it. What? They say it's mutter to dig a sukkah gezula? So wait, you go to someone's house, and you say, that's a nice sukkah you got there. They say, thanks, it's mine now. And you kick them out of their own sukkah. Says the Chachamim, it's kosher to eat and drink and sleep and be Mekai in the midst of sukkah, and a sukkah that you just robbed? Let's see. Amar Rav Nachman, says Rabbi Nachman. Okay, so that's the end of the brisa. We saw the brisa. It was bringing a machlokas, Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim. Now, when we see that it says Rav Nachman, we know that he's an Amora. And so now we're going to the Amoraim are going to try to analyze this argument in the Mishnah. What is their argument in the Mishnah? You know, it's very, in the Brisa, it's very concise. What do you mean a stolen sukkah is mutter? What's the machlokas? So says Rav Nachman, machlokas b'shetokev es chavero v'hutzio mizugazo. The machlokas is when you pick the guy up from his shirt and pants and chuck him out of his sukkah. As I state the Gemara. The tokev es chavero v'hutzio mizugazo. Rabbi Eliezer l'tamei. Rabbi Eliezer goes according to his reason to Amar ein adam yotzei chovaso b'sukaso shel chavero. Rabbi Eliezer says that a person is not going to is not able to fulfill the mitzvah of sitting in his sukkah in his friend's sukkah. Now that's like a crazy shita, because what? You know, go over to Harry's house and it's like, oh, sorry, I can't eat or drink because it's a sukkah of my chaver. So Rabbi Eliezer says you can't do it. So ikarka nigzeles sukkah gazuli. So if you're gonna say, so when we said in the last sugya that karka ain't an nigzeles, that's what they held in that sugya. But it's actually a question: can land be stolen or not? I guess we paskin it's not according to the last sugya. So if it's a sukkah gezula, so it's a sukkah gezula. Inami karka ain't an nigzeles. Sukkah she'uli. If you're going to say that land can't be stolen, but still it's a borrowed sukkah, V'Rabbanan, right? So it's still a borrowed sukkah, and I guess Rabbi Eliezer doesn't even let you use a borrowed sukkah. V'Rabbanan l'tamayu, and the Rabbanan also go according to their reasoning. De Amri, because they say Adam Yotzei Dechovaso Besukazu Shel Chavero. They hold that a person could be Yotzei with the sukkah of Chaver. They hold Karka is not Nigzalis, which is how we pass him, like the Chachamim, because they're the Rov, right? Zalman, when it says that Rabbi Eliezer is arguing with the Chachamim, with the sages, it means that he's arguing with like the rest of the guys. You know, he has this opinion, and then everyone else is arguing on him. So we go according to the majority. So we pass in the Karka is not stolen. Rabbi Eliezer might hold that land can be stolen. But even it's not clear that he holds that land can be stolen. Maybe he holds land can be stolen, and it's a stolen sukkah. Maybe he holds land cannot be stolen, and it's still a borrowed sukkah. But the Rabbanan, they say it's a sukkah she'ulahu, it's a borrowed sukkah. So that's okay to use a borrowed sukkah. Because you can't steal the land, so you send him like Mr. Lodge throwing out Archie from the mansion, you know, visiting Veronica. It's a school night; she's got to do homework. Mr. Lodge is going to pick him up. Okay, so the Chachamim say no, it's just a borrowed sukkah. He's just borrowing it. Don't you see, Mr. Lodge is just borrowing it.
Archie was a
Superhero of getting girls. Listen, I've heard of worse powers. The karka is avasukashulu. Aval, but gazal eitzim mesichich bahem divrei hakol ein lo ela demei eitzim. If you stole like branches and use them as schach, everyone says, and then they use this weird phrase, ein lo ela demei eitzim. He does not have except for the money of the, meaning like it's not considered like a halachic schach maybe, but they say it in a weird lashon, right? Ein lo ela demei eitzim.
So before the lesson.
Ma? Okay. Yo. So we have the Shulchan Aruch here, but you're actually right. Do you remember which Shulchan Aruch paskins this? Tafresh Lamed Zayin, maybe.
Yeah. Tafresh Lamed Zayin, Sifgim.
Oh wow, this guy's holding. Yeah. A mishpat, near mitzvah, Rosh Tevos. Eminem. The Heilig Eminem. Me, my. How do we know this? Me the Kitani, because it says in the Baraisa, Dumia, the Rishus Harabim. Right? It says in Mesachich Rishus Harabim. Similar to Rishus Harabim. Ma Rishus Harabim, Karka Lavdi Dehu. So just like in Rishus Harabim, the land is not his. So Ganami Lav Karka Didehu. So also the sukkah is not on his land, but it's okay according to the Rabbanan. Lo Karka Didehu. So that's the answer. Okay. Very nice. So we have this machlokas. And the Chachamim, we have Rabbi Nachman who explains what the machlokes is. They explain the different shitas. We're going to see it again with Rashi, but right now we're going veiter in the Gemara and hearing a story about an elder, a grandpa. Hahisabsa. The grandpa comes. The Asoy Kamela Rav Nachman. He comes before Rav Nachman. The same Rav Nachman. That's why they're telling the story next to each other. Rivka on Lamed Aleph Hamad Aleph. So this old guy, this Saba, back then the Saba might have been like, middle aged now, but he's an accomplished guy. He has grandchildren already. He comes before Rabbi Nachman, pulls his pants up, fixes his glasses, and he says, Amrullah, he said to Rav Nachman, Reish Galusa, V'kulu Rabbanan Debe Reish Galusa, V'suka Gezula Avu Yasvi. He's like, yo, the Reish Galusa, the head of the Galus, you know, and all of the rabbis that are like under him, they're sitting in a Sukkah Gezula. Tzavcha v'lo eshgach ba Rabbi Nachman. Like he was yelling at Rabbi Nachman, like how could you allow such a crazy thing to happen? Rabbi Nachman was like pretending he didn't even hear him.
He was like telling on them?
Yeah, and Rabbi Nachman was like, yo, like,
Who was the Rish Galusa?
what are you yelling in my ears for?
No, I knew that me.
Mashem.
Yeah.
Yo, Tozman. It's a good question. We'll see. I mean, Rav Nachman was not a first generation Amayra, so it's not going to be Rav and Shmuel, Rabbi Yochanan or Rish Lakish, maybe it's Rav Yehuda, maybe it's Abai and Rav, I don't know, I'm blaming sure. But maybe Rashi will tell us. Amr le idita. So a woman says, the Havale Abua Tlas Mea Vitimni Srei Avdi Abuha. He says she has a father, she has a boo. We have to see exactly what that Abuha is. 380,000 slaves? I don't know. Sorry. 80,300 or something. No, 380 slaves, yeah? Avdi tzavcha kamaychu v'lo ashkechisu ba. She was yelling, or it was yelling before them. He was yelling before them, and they didn't even listen to him. Amar Lahu, Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, Pi'isa he. She's a Pi'isa. What the? Hida. Ve'ein la ela d'mei eitzim bilvad. Oh, so now he says again that word. Ein la ela d'mei eitzim bilvad, which explains that they're not Yotzei the Sukkah. Amar Ravina says, Ravina hai kishura d'mitaltalasa the gezula. It says kishura the metaltala gezula avdilay. Like it's let's see, like a tree. It's an AIDS. What? That its shade is stolen. Avdila Rabbanan takanta mishum takanas marish. So the rabbis made a takana called takanas marish. What's the takanas marish? Like they made a gezerah called, or maybe merish originally. Marish. Ma?
Like ani, rash.
Okay.
I think.
So what's the takana? Let's see. Before we see Rashi, let's see the Gemara, and then we'll go back. But I hear you. Reish, the takana that's going to make him poor. Okay. Pshita, obviously, Maishna me'etzim. What's the difference with stolen shade or stolen trees? There's a lot of trees. This is not, like, it's not easy to find. So you would say no. And it's the Gemara, Kamash, Malam, and learn from here that even there's Kashura, the Metaltala, the Gezula, some sort of tree from a different height. We have to see Rashi. Kamash Malam. Okay. Kamash Malam, what? Hane Mile Bego Sheva. That's talking about in the 7 days of Alabazar Sheva, about after the 7 days, Hadar Be'ene, it goes back to what it was. The Ir Chavru Betina, and if you connected it with mud. Even after 7 days, also give the money. Meaning maybe you don't have to return the trees that you're using for the schach, you just give them the money from the tree that you stole them. You know? That's the half meaning. You might have thought that trees, there are a lot of trees, so just give them back the regular trees, but this thing is maybe less frequent, and you could just keep it and just give them the money. Okay, so let's see. But then the Gemara says, but if you used cement, then you could just always give him back the money. You never have to break the roof, undo the cement, just to give him the trees, the trees that you stole. You just give him the money of the trees. You guys chop that? You get that?
So it's whose option to take the money or the beam?
So this seems to be maybe the takana. We have to see it in Rashi, but this seems to be maybe the takana that, listen, like a person's gonna, like if he steals a tree, like he steals a few branches that cost like $5, right? And then he builds his house, he builds $1 million house. And the guy's like, you stole my branches? Like, what's going on over here? Break down your whole house, give me my branches. Chazal's like, no. Just give him $5. Give him how much the branches cost. But they're not going to take him to like bring the whole house down. Okay. So now we go back to the Tana Rabbanan on top. Tana Rabbanan, our rabbis teach us in a baraisa, Sukkah Gezula, v'hamizachich b'rishus harabim, Rabbi Eliezer posel, v'chachamim machshirin. That was the baraisa. Zakdehei l'garashi, Sukkah Gezula, Rashi doesn't explain that one. V'hamizachich b'rishus harabim. Hamasach b'rishus harabim says Rashi. This is the Rashi over here. Rashi is on the inside, Tosfos on the outside. So it says Hamasach. So Mitzach b'rishus harabim, it says Ha Nami Gezel Harabim. That's also stealing. When you make your sukkah in public property, why? Because you're stealing from the Rabbim, right? The Chum say it's okay though. Rav Nachman says, Rav Nachman, Machlokas, the Psil Rabbi Eliezer, Kigon Shetaga V'Schaveiro, that's talking Bechazaka, you gave him a boom, you punched him, or whatever, you hit him, you attacked him, V'Otziu Misukaso Abenuya Bekarko, Shel Nigzal, right? You go into someone's house, and you take him and you throw him out in my sukkah now. And everything that's attached to the ground is like the ground. And we just learned that karka ain't an exelis, that you can't steal ground. So that's why the Rabbim say, in such a case, so when they say that a sukkah gezula is okay, they're talking about the case where you stole the land. You went into someone's house, threw him out. Then the sukkah is okay because the land is not stolen. Schach, that's a different story. That's exactly, yes, connected. I think that when the Gemara is saying here, that Rabbi Nachman is saying that the Malokas is when you throw him out because karka is not an exelis, but aval gazal eitzim. But if you stole trees and you schach, everyone says, ein lo ela demei eitzim. And so we have to see what that line was. It could be that he just has to pay back the amount of money that the trees would cost. Let's see Rashi. So Rabbi Eliezer l'tamei. Rabbi Eliezer is going according to his reasoning. The Amar Sukkah She'ula Eid Yotzeh Bo. He says in last parak that if you have a Sukkah She'ula, a borrowed Sukkah, I go over to Harry's house, not Yotzeh. Hilkach mimanav shach zo psula. So of course it's possible because it's not. So whether or not he holds that you can steal the land or you can't steal the land, even if he holds you can't steal the land, still even though you can't steal the land, you can't. It's a borrowed sukkah, and a borrowed sukkah is asur. You're not yotze with it. Juice and drinks. Okay. So if you're going to hold that according to Rabbi Eliezer, karka is nigzeles, kilaimar, says Rashi, kilaimar, im yesh ala karka toras gezel, if on the ground there, it's possible to steal kashar metaltalin, like everything else that's a movable property, a chattel, you can just steal it. V'la'amod b'chezkas gazlan, and it can become, you can acquire it, right? And sukkah hagazul, Rabbi Eliezer darish ta'aseh lecha mishalcha v'lo gazula v'lo she'ula. It says sukkah ta'aseh lecha, make for yourself, and so it can't be stolen or even borrowed. V'eina nigzeles, but if Rabbi Eliezer holds that the sukkah cannot be, that the karka on the land cannot be stolen, v'chol hayavim b'rishus ba'alei, really, even though you took over this guy's, you took over this guy's land, took over this guy's sukkah, it still is the original guy's, you know? Havila she'ula, it's still a borrowed sukkah, but plug sahaya behagozel, and it's a machlokas in bavakama in Perek Hagozel. Ikalaman amar karka nigzeles. There is someone who holds that the karka, the land, could actually be stolen. The darish riboy v'miyot, because they darshan some sort of drasha of ikalaman amar, and there is a yid who says karka is not stolen because they make a different type of drasha with klal and prad of klal. Okay, but it seems here from our Gemara that we paskin that it's not stolen, it's not stealable. But we can understand Rabbi Eliezer either way. The Rabbanon l'taymayu, and the rabbis are also going according to their reasoning, the Amri, because they say, Yotze Adam b'sukkah she'ena shalo. What? He doesn't need to have the sukkah himself. B'she'ola, with a borrowed sukkah. Vistirle, and they hold, the karka eina nigzeles, that the land cannot be stolen. The Rabbanon the Amri b'Perek goes, because it's the Rabbanon that hold that karka eina nigzeles. The karka is not stolen. Upligi aled to Rabbi Eliezer. Nami beha. The Gezelos karka. So they also argue with Rabbi Eliezer on that. Maybe they argue with Rabbi Eliezer, maybe they don't, on whether or not you can steal land. Hilkach, therefore, she'ulahi, it's a borrowed sukkah. It's a real borrow. They Mr. Lodged him out of town, right onto the Riverdale streets. V'hu adinami dehavale l'Rabbi Nachman l'meimar d'Rabbi Eliezer l'tamei de'amar behagozel karka nigzeles, because maybe he's one of the guys who holds that you can't steal land. The sukkah gazuli, and it's a sukkah that's gazal. The miyashi ba'alim minna, because the ba'alim are like, well, I'm never going to be able to overpower this strong-armed barbarian. The miyashi ba'alim minna kishar medaltalin dehavale karka bechezkas gazlan, because the land is in the chazaka of the guy who stole it. Okay, but the rabbis go according to their reasoning. The Amri, no, karka ein an nigzeles, you cannot steal land. The she'ulahi, and therefore the sukkah is just like has the halachic status of a borrowed sukkah. Ela I amar hachi, if they said it like this, avi mashma demodi Rabbi Eliezer b'she'ula, that would imply that Rabbi Eliezer agrees by she'ula. Ve'anan kimlan behayashan, but we said earlier in Chavzai Rav Beis in Perek Hayashan, the Av b'she'ula pasel. The Rabbi Eliezer says also she'ula is pasel. Hilchach, therefore, says Rashi, Amar le Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says Mimanav Shad. Rav Nachman says either way, you look at this case according to Rabbi Eliezer, whether he holds you can steal the land or you hold you can't steal the land. Either way you look at it, it's possible to have a stolen sukkah or to make the schach commercial sarabim. Kelaimar, that is to say, inema If you're going to say the Rebbe Eliezer holds karka eina nigzeles kirabana, that they hold that the land is not stolen like the rabbis, afilu hachi still pasil mishum seula. It would still be puzzled because of Rebbe Eliezer's opinion that you can't even use a borrowed sukkah. Givaldik. So that's about stealing the sukkah. Rebbe Eliezer says the sukkah can't be stolen. We could even fathom such a case. Or it says that sukkah can't be stolen, but it's still a sukkah she'ula, which is not yotzei, because you have to have mamash your own sukkah on your own land. And the Rabbanan say you could use it because it's a sukkah she'ula, and sukkah she'ula is okay, a borrowed sukkah is okay. Aval, says the Gemara, gazal eitzim v'sichech behem. When the Brisa said that the sukkah that you stole is kosher according to the Rabbanan, that's only if you took the guy by his pants, by his belt buckle, and by that little thing in the back of his shirt that you hang up, and you threw him out to the streets of Riverdale. But if you stole the schach, that's a completely different story. That's not what we're talking about, a stolen schach. Everyone agrees that all you have is the demei eitzim. So what does that mean? That you're allowed to do it? That you're allowed to steal trees and use it as schach, and then you just have to pay him back the monetary value? Let's see Rashi over here. Aval gazal eitim v'sirach behem. Ein zo lo gezela v'lo she'ula. This is not considered a sukkah that is stolen, and is not considered a sukkah that is borrowed. De kanenu b'shinoi maisa b'shinoi shem. Because if you go and steal the schach, so you acquired it with a shinoi maisa, which is like you took it and it was just like a stick and now it's schach, and you changed the name of it also because it was just a stick. You would use the stick to scratch your back, maybe use it as a cane. But now you're using it for a mitzvah, you're using it for schach, so it's changing its action and changing its name. So he acquires these sticks.
Talmid.
Ma?
Talmid.
Talmid. Yeah, it's Zalman will tell us that Hashem hates Gezel. Sona Gezel be'ola, so it's probably better not to steal this lulav, steal this schach. But still, on a strict halachic level,
It's permissible.
it's permissible. All you have to do return the amount of money for the trees. Now, maybe this is Hamas, right? That Hamas is like when you take something and give him the money. He's not trying to sell it. It's like, oh, this is a nice pen. Here's a quarter. Harry, this is a nice fluffy thing. Here's, It's like, and I'm taking it, paying him for it, but I'm taking it. Yeah, mine needs major shakage. I was trying to do this, but it kept on spilling on me. Maybe I can dilute. Can I have more, please? Can I have more juice and dregs? Thank you. Okay. So, but if you steal it, all he has is the money of the trees. The ode, and furthermore, it's because of Takanas Hashavim. Takanas Hashavim, that's a Takana that I heard of. That's what I was trying to tell you guys about. You don't have to return right? Eno tzarech listor binyana, you don't have to destroy the entire house. Ella yachzor davim, just return the money. V'da'amrina be'perek hayasha, and like what we said in perek hayasha, the modu rabada begizua, la begozel sukkah, that the rabbis were agreeing on a stolen case. It's not talking about when you stole the sukkah, hamichuberes lekarka, that's stuck to the ground. V'lo begozel eitzem v'mesachech behem. And it's also not that you stole the schach, the trees, the branches, and you used it for schach. Ella begozel sukkah. So what's the case? The gozel sukkah hasuya berosha agala uberosha sfira. Rabba rachana sugya. What's it talking about? It's not talking about that you stole a sukkah stuck to the ground. Because the rabbis say that can't be stolen, but there is a sukkah that could be stolen. If you had a sukkah on a caravan, or you had a sukkah on a bite. You know what a bite is? A boat in yeshivish. if you had the sukkah in the bayit, in the sfina, so shehi atzma nigzeles, she'ena mechuberes bekarka. So a sukkah, if the sukkah is attached to the ground, you can't steal it because you can't steal ground. But if the sukkah is on like a caravan being pulled by a horse, or the sukkah is on a boat being pulled by the waves, that you can actually steal the sukkah. And it's considered that you can really steal it. It's considered like movable property that can be stolen. Isn't that good? I was not expecting that. Were you expecting that? I was not expecting that. When it said that a sukkah can't be stolen, I just assumed they were talking about all sukkahs. Says the Gemara, no, some sukkahs can be stolen. The ones that are not attached to the ground. I'm blown away. I totally not expecting that. Alright. Dehi atzma nigzelas she'ena mechuberes lekarka. It is not connected to the ground. Ve'ein alav la'achzir damim ella kemoshihi benuya. Right? It's not like, oh, I stole the sukkah, now I'll just give you the money for the sukkah. It's like, bro, like, my sukkah is movable property over here. So give me it back. Give me that sukkah, sucker. Ela kamoshi benuya, as it's built. The ain't mishum takanas shavim. We don't have that takanas shavim. Shahare lo tarach aleh livnaisa. He didn't work hard to build it. Meaning, what's the reason that if you steal like some trees and you build it into your house, you just have to pay the money for the tree and not, you don't have to like break your house apart? Because the guy worked so hard building this thing, and in the end of the day, the Chazal is not going to make him break his thing. He worked so hard on it. But here, he didn't work hard for it, and he didn't spend any money for it. Hilgach gezulahi. So Rashi just tells us that there is a case where the sukkah can be stolen, and the rabbis are like, yo, you have to give it back. Not if the sukkah is attached to the ground, not if you stole the schach, but if you stole a sukkah that is attached to a boat, let's say. Okay, asks the Gemara, I have to find it. Right? It says it only has the eights and y. How do we know that he only has to pay back the money? Because it teaches similar to Rosh Hashanah. How do we know that the argument is whether or not you can steal land, and the argument is whether or not you can be yotze with the sukkah that's borrowed? We see that the Gemara wanted to establish this, that the machlokas could be either one. But now the question the Gemara is asking, according to Rashi, how do we know that it's with Gezela's karka, or maybe that we know that they're arguing about whether or not land can be stolen, and the question is, and they're arguing if you can even be yotze with a borrowed sukkah, right? Says the Gemara, Dumir Rosh Hashanah, because it's similar to Rosh Hashanah. Ma Rosh Hashanah karka lav didehu, sukkah nami lav karka didehu. So a sukkah also is not his land, right? And so we see that the Rabbanan, because the fact that it mentions in the Brayso Rosh Hashanah, we see that the Rabbanan are they hold that you could be yotze with a borrowed sukkah, a borrowed land, and just like you could use it in borrowed land in Rosh Hashanah. You could also use it borrowed land if you stole it. Hey, man, please move over here because I'm getting bathed by the sun. Oh, shkaya. Maybe this can move over. Oh, shoot. I can stay in the same spot. Okay, problem solved. Not that I don't want to sit next to you, but I just had the idea when I was looking at it from like that side. Okay. So, says the Gemara, Hahu Sabsa. This grandpa over here. He comes before Rav Nachman. Amra le Reish Galusa. He says V'kulu Rabbanan. He says the Reish Galusa and all the rabbis debate Reish Galusa. B'sukkah Gezula V'yasvi. In the Sukkah Gezula, Tzavcha V'lo Eshgach Ba Rav Nachman. He was yelling. Hey, Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman, you hear something? Hahu Sabsa. An old man. They gazlu mimena avdi reish galusa eitzim v'sachachu bahen. They stole like trees for this guy, and they put schach. This poor old man. He's like, yeah, they stole my branches. So he says like this. They didn't even listen to them. Amra lei idita dahavilei. Maybe his wife or some lady. We got a girl in the Gemara, big. So now every page. So sukkah gezula havuyazi. So there was some lady over there, and dahavilei, or maybe it's his wife. And she says, "La'avua tlas mea v'timni srei avdi." Says to your father, he had 380 slaves. Timni srei, 18 slaves, maybe. We have to see. I think Timni srei. I think it's 80. I think it's 380. What's the gematria of Eliezer? Aleph, Lamed, Yud, Zayin, Ayin, Reish, 200, Ayin, 270. Okay, I don't know if that's the answer. But he says, Avua, to your father, Rashi says, Avravinu, Yelide Beso, Shmona Azar, Vishlosh Meos. 318, yeah. 318. That would make sense with the gematria of Eliezer. I know they talk about the gematria of his name, right? Just write it down real quick.
Rashi says it was either 318 men or it was Eliezer himself.
Right. Right. So what's the gematria of Eliezer? Eliezer. Okay. So you take the Reish, the Ayin, and the Lamed, and you have 300. And then the Zayin, Yud, Aleph comes out to 17. And the gematria is off one.
Zayin, Yud, Aleph?
Eliezer.
Zayin, Yud, Aleph, 18.
$9.18, Shkaya, not even off one. Nice math. So, it's perfect. I thought like the people who took him out here with one off were going to find a huge raya from here. And Chazal giving a macho with one off. Ken, אבל זה לא, זה כאילו, זה מדויק. 318, okay, great. He's like, to Avraham, he had 318 slaves. Come on, Shiv Eliezer. Tzavcha kamaychu v'lo eshkachisu ba. So maybe like his wife came. And she started yelling at Rav Nachman. And they didn't listen to her, even. Oh, what a nice wife sticking up for her husband, though, right? If her husband had this stick stolen from him, so she's also gonna freak out. She's gonna even bring up. He's like, "What are you doing? This is like inappropriate." And the woman's like bringing up Avraham, you know. He's saying, "But Avraham, he had all these servants, all these slaves." And the Lord goes, Amar lahu Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman said to his slaves, or to him, he's like, Amar Rav Nachman, Pi'isahi. He says, Kolanis hizo. He's like, my ear, from the amount that your wife is screaming. She's so loud. Ve'ein la ella d'me'etzim bilvad. And I'm only going to give her the money. It's not a sukkah gezula, But like, yeah, I'm gonna give the money that I took from you guys because what was Rav Nachman not gonna give it until the girl came in and just started yelling and freaking out?
Gives it faster.
Yeah, she greases the thing. And she's like, okay, fine, yeesh. He's like, my ear. That's what he says. He says, gosh, she's such a kailanis. Ela demei eitzim. Takanas chachamim. Takana from the rabbis. From the chachamim. Zo al hamerish. Hagazul shebinao bebira. So they once made this merish, this thing that they built in the capital. Sheyito hanigzol as damav, that the guy who gets stolen can take the money. V'lo chayavu leka'akea as binyano. Interesting word. They don't make him tattoo it to the ground. Right? They don't make him ka'akea as binyano. Mipnei takanas hashavim meseches gitin. Takanas hashavim in meseches gitin. I know, we spoke about takanas hashavim, but here they call it takanas marish. It's like the same thing. It's just a different name for the same takana. So all you have is the only taina, the only claim that she has is for the actual schach. Amaravina, hai keshura de metalulasa de gizula avdi rabara daganta. So says Ravina, they made this dagara to take the money instead of this marish. So obviously they're going to make that takana. We know about it. It's called takana shavim, and we've heard about it since we did get it. Pshita, obviously, what's the difference from eitzim, from trees? What might you have thought? Eitzim shchichi. So the same thing happened, but and to Ravina, who was at the end of the Amoraim. He's one of the last people, Ravina and Rav Ashi, who kept the Gemara together. And so he's like, oh, by the way, before we finish this page, let me just add this. Let me just add this Nakuda. This Kishura, the Metalulasa, this Kishura, the Metalulasa, Chaim Ibn Sugya. You want to look it up in the Rambam because you saw the Shulchan Aruch this morning in Harry? Want to look in the Shulchan Aruch? Thanks. It's the same one as before. Hi Kishura, the Metalulasa. Avdile Rabbana Daganta, so obviously made the kana. The kana is marish. Shita ma'al the table. What might you have thought? I might have thought that there's a difference to make a differentiation between eitzim, between branches, and this other thing, which is it's harder to get. Branches anyone can get, so fine, just give him the money. But this, maybe he stole something non-fungible, right? And so, like, you might think that let's just break it up, you know? Okay. Back in Rashi, right? And so when we're back in Rashi, we're back in these lines, these things. Avdu Rabbanat Daganda, third to last small line Rashi, Rivka. Avdu Rabbanat Daganda, Lito Damav, to take the money, made the kanas marish. Velo Amrina and Ain Kan Hefzid Meruba. We don't say that's not such a big loss. V'yazdir Sukazo, just knock down, just destroy your sukkah. The mitzvah Masuile, Kol Sheva, Kevinyan Keva. So since he's doing a mitzvah all 7 days, he's doing a mitzvah with this thing. So just give him like the trees. So why would you have thought it's the same thing? This marish, this it's not a sukkah maybe, but it deals with the mitalalasa. Pshita ma'ishna me'etzim. What's the difference between the trees? Now rina la'el gezel etzim v'sicha b'hem ein lo el adamim. Steal the etzim and you use it for schach. All you have is the davim.
Explain the takana shavim.
Amazing. Let's see. I told you to go look it up. Okay. Let's just see the Rashi first, and then I'll get to the Rambam. So the Gemara says, well, why you might have your thoughts different, because it's easy to buy trees. Everyone's selling branches, Branch Davidians over here. You know the Branch Davidians? Anyone know the Branch Davidians?
They burned that one down.
They did indeed burn that one down. And people went crazy. And they say that because they burned the Branch Davidians down, that's why that guy went and did the OKC bomb, or the Timothy McVeigh went and in 1985 blew up Oklahoma City building and a lot of things. But we know that the shiur was big time involved with that. It's not feasible to think that this guy was able to make such an insane bomb and an insane thing. This was a pre 9/11 false flag, and it happened to be that Biden, Yimach Shemo, was in the Senate back then, and he was trying to make some crazy anti-terrorist act, and they didn't let him do it until they had this 1985 false flag in OKC with Timothy McVeigh. It happens to be that Timothy McVeigh looks extremely much like Eminem, and they say that he was executed, but maybe he just, picked up the mic. I'm saying, listen, Marshall Mathers, Timothy McVeigh, I don't know. They look very similar. Maybe they have some DNA in common, but that's not the topic of today's shiur. I couldn't mention destroying buildings and not mention the OKC bombing. But with the eitzim mishchichi, you can buy it. Everyone's buying the branches, and then we got to the Branch Davidians, and then we went to those. Shehitin lo zehilgach mishum takana zashavim lo itrechuhu legozel daha nigzal matzi mitrach umezaven, because he could go out and buy new ones. Still, it's annoying. I would say, give me, you go out and buy new ones. Tell to the guy who stole it, what? Now I have to go out and buy new ones? It's a pain in the butt. I don't want to do that. I had until you stole it. But no, he could just give him the money, and then he has to go out and buy some new trees, I guess. Yikes. Maybe is he allowed to say, well, I'm charging more, or just the average price? All right, so Maishnam Eitzeh about Deva Eitzim Shchichi, Aval Hai Lo Shchichi, Emalo Kamash Balav, and the Mir Hanimile Bego Sheva. So we learned that those things are only during the 7 days of Alabasar Sheva Hadar Be'ede. You turn them in its way, right? You can only use them for those 7 days, Riff. But after the Yantif, so then the Shino is gone, and you can't, and you have to return the trees as they are. V'i chavru betina, but if he used them and he cemented them on, avilu achar shevanami yayiv le'dami, also just give him the money. V'i chavru betina havalei kashar binyan kavua. It's like every other binyan that's a kavua, permanent house, that you only have to give him back the money and not the actual branches that get destroyed. Okay, great. Now it's time for the Rambam. Give me. Hey. So we don't have a full Rambam. We just have the Rambam and the Ravid. We don't have the Nosi Kalim. But we have this 1-volume Rambam. Do you know where I bought this Rambam there? When me and Shlomo, when we went up to stay Trumot and we were living there, so we went to the nearest. The first trip that we did, once we got up there, we went to the nearest Judaica, and I ended up buying this Rambam from a Chabad store. And it's a full Rambam. So Baruch Hashem, this is maybe the first book we bought in the history of Yeshiva School of Shul. And we're still using it years and years ago, pre-pandemic even. Okay. What did we say it was? Hey Gimel? No. Hey Chav Hey. Wait, did I tell you to do Hey Chav Hey? Which one did you look up? Oh, you're in Hilchos Gezela and Aveda? Oh, so you're in the second one. You're in the Gezela and Aveda. We don't have that Shulchan Aruch. We'll look at it. Aleph Hey in Hilchos Gezela. Because Chaim Ibn Sugya opened it up for us, we're going to take a look at it. This is the second Rambam that's brought by the M&M, by the Ein Mishpat. Azam in this guy over here, you see it says Ein Mishpat Ner Mitzvah, so we call him the M&M. Ein Mishpat, the Aminem. The Amen is Mem. Amnam. And he brings the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch over there, where they get it from in the Gemara. So Chaim Ibn Sugya brought us this one, so we're going to see it. So it says like this: Kol hagozel, everyone who steals, chayav lahachzir es hagazela atma. You got to return the thing that was stolen. Shenem, as it says in the pasuk, ve'hishiv es hagazela asher gazal. Return the thing that you stole. Ve'im avda o nishtanas mishalim dameh. If you lost it, or you changed it, then you just pay back the money. Bein shahoda mi pi atzmo, bein shabo alav edim shagaza. Whether he was like, yo, I stole, or since it didn't change, right? This is still the original plank in its plank form, right?
It's part of the house.
Yeah, but it's still a plank in the original plank. Says the Gemara, Din Toru sheyaharos es habinyan v'yachzir koira lebayla. Really, midoraisa? You would have to bring the entire house down to return. Oh, I got your plank. That's on a deraisa level. That's what you would have to do. Why, Rivka? Why would you have to do it? Because at the end of the day, the plank is still in its original form. Who cares that you put all this stuff on it? Different Torah, deraisa, the Torah says you give the Geneva back that you stole.
Not the value.
No, you give the exact thing back.
Exact thing back. Destroy
Destroy it, right? That's the entire. Destroy the binyan, return that thing. Aval tiknu chachamim. Tiknu chachamim mipnei takanas hashavim. The rabbis were metagim because of takanas hashavim. Shelo yimneu milashuv b'tshuva. Interesting. Chachamim. Tshuva tefillah tzedakah. Rivka. When we first saw this takana, the takanas hashavim, to return, we thought it meant it's the takana to return the plank. Says the Rambam here, and it's not even the Rambam, it's like the guy, it's like some Chabad guy who wrote this, like, who katav et ha'harapo. It's a lot of Rambam, ze mishu. Taroeh? Someone adds here that the reason is that we're afraid of, that we're doing it in order so that person can return, not so that he can return the plank, so that he won't prevent himself from returning in tshuva. If he's like, yo, I'm going to have to destroy my house. So now doing tshuva for a $5 steal means he has to destroy $1 million house. It's going to be impossible for this guy to do tshuva. We'll say, fine, if you want to do tshuva, בטח. כן, 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 כן. Yeah, תקנת שווים is, you can understand it that it's from tshuva. It's in tshuva. When it says that they're going to shavim, not that it'll return the plank, right? So they say, oh, to let this guy do tshuva on the $5, we'll let him just return the money. It's nice.
But doing tshuva,
It's part of it. Restitution is part of the tshuva process. And it's a part that you can't miss. You have to also return what you stole. In this case, the rabbi said, okay, you can return the money. In order so that he won't have an impossible test to do tshuva, he's going to have to give back, he's going to break his whole house to give back that very beam. Give the money, don't lose the entire house. Everything that's similar. So you stole the plank and you used it in Sukkot for Chag Sukkot, Ubab ala kora litvoa besoch yemei hachag. And the guy who you stole the planks from is like, yo, I know you stole my plank. And like, please, like, can I have a plank back? Litvoa besoch yemei hachag. You don't have to give him the plank. You don't have to give him the plank because you're using this for your mitzvah. Right? It's very interesting. It's a very interesting concept of like someone who wants to do the mitzvah so much that he'll even like steal someone's like plank.
But that invalidates the mitzvah.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. We're seeing these Gemara that it's not so clear, and each case has to be looked at. Sometimes it does, and it doesn't. If you pick the guy up, throw him out of his house, it doesn't invalidate the mitzvah according to the Chachamim. And in this case also, it doesn't invalidate the mitzvah. You just give him back the demei of the eitzim. Uba balakor litvoa bedolim echag nosin lo es dameh. Just give him the money back. You know, there's no such thing. If you steal, like you have to give the money back. But Chazal they're looking out for the robber here, even.
But you have to do that before you go for the mitzvah, right?
Mm. They're looking out for the robber here. They're like, listen, like this guy is tzaddik. Like, he's not just like stealing to like steal. He's stealing so that he can like do mitzvahs, do avodas Hashem. Couldn't do a sukkah. So like they're like, don't worry, you don't have to break your entire sukkah, even though it might not be $1 million destruction, but still, using it for the sukkah, use it for the sukkah. Aval achar chag, but after sukkah, the mitzvah was done. However, lo nishtanis. Since it's still in its form, right? V'lo bana'ah betit. He didn't build it with cement. Machzir es akayra atzma. You return the very...
Even after you made financial restitution?
So you're saying if you paid the money during Chag...
Or prior to?
Or prior to Chag, you paid the money... So in that case, maybe you don't have to return the actual...
Well, which is it?
Because the guy accepted it.
So it's either or.
It's a good question. Which is it? A good question. Shalom and Shikri. It's a good question. That's what it is. It's a good question. You guys hear Zalman's question? Zalman's saying, if you pay the guy back on Yantif, or prior to, or on Chol Moed, and you gave him back the $5 for the stick, do you after you have to go give him back the stick and the guy gives you back the $5? It's a good question, right? What? Mani fraya. אני רוצה את הקורה שלי. This is, right? It's possible. It's possible that you could do that and get... But for that, to answer that question, we would need a Rambam with the Nosei Kalim. Right? Just like the Gemara has Perushim on the side, so too the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch have Perushim on the side. Maybe your question, maybe someone will talk about it in the Shulchan Aruch. Because now we're going to the Heilige Shulchan Aruch. Shkayach Gadol, thank you so much. And so now, and can you find the Rambam? Can you find it with Zalman, the Rambam in Perek Hey, Hilchos Sukkah, Halacha Chaf Hey? Yeah, he's gonna show you how to find a Rambam. This is one of the things. This is one of the most important things in learning how to learn, is learning how to find a Rambam. Look up a Rambam Shulchan Aruch. So he's going to the 5th chapter of Sukkah, the 25th. Because that's what we saw up here, right? The entire shiur is set out right in front of us. You know, the entire Ian shiur is just, you have to dive into Hashem though, that we like go in the right order and we find the right Mikoros. And, okay. So we are in Tafir Zavid Zayin, Gimel, Shkayach, Gadol, Rabbi H. Sukkah Gezula, a sukkah that's stolen is kosher. That's what the Mishnah said, right? According to the Rabbanan. Now, the Shulchan Aruch asks Ketzad. This is like the very beginning of the Achronim. Rambam's a Rishon. He lived like 500 years before this book was written. How is it so? Im takav es chavero vehotzio misukasa, the old Mr. Lodge, Evo. So then, and sat in it, Yotze. Shein karka nigzaz, because we paskin that you cannot steal land. Says the Heilige Ramah. Miu, however, lechatchila lo yeshav adam besukos chavero shalomi daito. Harry, thank you for, like, before we started learning, you're like, yo, I want to learn a little bit halacha l'maisa, and I was like, it's a good idea, and it's in the schuz of that question that we even saw this Ramah. The Ramah brings a phenomenal halacha l'maisa. You want to take a look at something? So the halacha l'maisa is that lichatchila, best case scenario, meaning maybe it's still okay if you don't do it, but like the best case scenario, if you want to do it the best way you can, you should not sit in your friend's sukkah if he doesn't know. Kol shekaim im daito legazla, and of course, you're not supposed to go around stealing someone's sukkah. It's not like, like someone else's property over here. Just make a sukkah in it without him knowing. And also with the public property. It's better not to do it like that.
But if you went into someone's sukkah, isn't there both benefiting from the mitzvah?
What if he's not there?
Still benefiting from the mitzvah, no?
It's better
you
not.
enable somebody else to do a mitzvah. Isn't that a mitzvah?
Yeah, but it's better for the guy that's going to do that. Trying to be such a tzaddik and give other people mitzvahs. It's better that you run it by him first. L'chatchila. Best case scenario, tell him, by the way, I don't have a sukkah, I'm gonna come and sit in your sukkah, just so he knows, That's l'chatchila, because it's better not, it's like you said, it's better not to. Hashem hates gezel, Hashem hates anything it's better just make sure he knows. That's what the Ramah says. Hey, look at Ramah.
Okay.
He lives in Krakow. It's best case scenario not to make a sukkah in the land of your friend if he doesn't know. And also bekarka, public property. Miu b'di eved yotze, but you're still yotze sukkah. But you shouldn't like go around giving other people's mitzvahs on their account without like letting them know. V'chein lo yiktzitzu Yisrael aschach be'atzmam ela yignu osam me'akum. He's going back to the Avnachri sugya that we started here with today. Baruch Hashem that we refreshed it today a little bit. And we talked about the Avnachri because going back to that sugya, you shouldn't. And remember, he's talking to people in Krakow, the Ramah. He's saying you shouldn't buy from the idolaters. The kol gazel ein osim mena sukkah lichatchila. Says the Ramah. Better buy from a yid. Of course, because it's the Deoraisa buying from a yid, but also because the guy probably stole it. Guy idolater. He probably robbed it clean. And so therefore, lichatchila, best case scenario, better not to have like stolen schach, stolen lulav, and this is from the Maharil. Okay, says the Shulchan Aruch veiter, ve'im gazal eitzim ve'asa mehem sukkah. If you did steal trees and you made a sukkah from them, avobi shelo chibran ve'lo shina behem klum. Even if you didn't attach them and you didn't change them at all, yotzei. You can still be yotzei, the mitzvah of sukkah. Takana sochamim she'ein lem ba'al ha'etzim ela d'mei etzim bilvad. So it's like, it's takana, this guy made a sukkah. We're not going to make him break his sukkah in the middle of Yantif. Just pay back the money. Aval im gazel sukkah hasi b'rosh hasfina. But if there was a sukkah that was just happened to be like on the deck of my boat, or b'rosh hagala, or on the caravan, v'yashav ba lo yatsa. Then you're not yotze. Then it really is a sukkah gezula. It really is a stolen sukkah. If it was like a sukkah on a sfina or on an hagala. Zog the Ramah again. There's nothing like the interplay between like the Ramah, Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch was writing in Eretz Yisrael. He was living the same time as the Arizal and Sfas. And at the same time, in Krakow, there was a Yid in Shmutz La'aretz. And he was also writing like a collection of halachas. And so he was like, you know what? I'm just like, I'm Rabbi in Eretz Yisrael over here. I'm just going to put mine as like kind of like a tablecloth for the table. Shulchan Aruch is the table that's like spread out, and he made, and the Rambam made a little tablecloth. He just like, hey, where we argue, I'll just like put in my thing. And so you see like the italic Rashi print is the Ramah, and the big bolden print is the Shulchan Aruch. Haggah, Zak the Ramah. V'hu adin in Ruvain bana sukkah b'karka Shimon. Ruvain goes and makes a sukkah in Shimon's land. Shimon took up as Ruvain, v'gazol sukkaso. And Shimon walks into his sukkah. He's like, I think you got something over there, right? I think you got something over there. Ruvain's like, what? And looks down, looks back up. Shimon's holding a knife. And says, my sukkah now, bro. Get out of here. And actually, that's not the case. So that's one case we spoke about already. This case is Shimon. That is the case. And Shimon, he bonks him on the head. And the Gazal Sukkot stole his land. Habanuya Bekarka Shalom. Wait, hold on, what's happening? Ruvain built a sukkah on Shimon's land. Right? Ruvain comes and builds a sukkah on Shimon's land. And Shimon comes to Ruvain and is like, what the heck? You're building a sukkah on my land? And he takes Ruvain and he gives him the old Mr. Lodge onto the streets of Riverdale, sends him packing. The Gazal Sukkaso, and he steals the sukkah that Shimon built on his property. Lo Yatzaba. Says the Ramah, Ruvain is not Yotze in a sukkah that Shimon built with his property on Ruvain's property. The big chidush. She'en kan takanat hashavim. There's no takanas hashavim here, like of going back and tshuva and returning it. However, lo tarach ba, since he didn't tarach ba, he didn't like invest into it.
He invested his time and effort.
Right, exactly. The time and effort. And he didn't spend money.
Time and effort
For
has
it.
a value.
Time, effort, and value.
It's not something you can buy in the store, but
Right.
it has a value.
Yeah, and we see that Chazal take this value even for the guy who's a thief, a Russia maybe. But Chazal are like, well, maybe not Russia if he's trying to do it for like sukkah. He couldn't do it, And so Chazal say even for this ganav, if he put in the work and the value, then we make a takana to help this guy do tshuva. Chazal is very deep. Chazal is like, listen, we're trying to help people do tshuva over here. So we can't make a law, a halacha, which is going to make his path back impossible. So, but in the case where the guy built his own stuff on something, there's no takanas hashavim. Takanas hashavim needs both of those cases, and we can learn a lot from these nekudas. So shkoyach gadol, and tomorrow, Amir Tzashem, the Eibush will give us the Shmaya to go veiter. We have this place tomorrow also. All right. So during Chol Moed, I think we're gonna learn back in my place, like if we're still there, like we don't know, like day by day yet. But
Someone's gonna steal it?
because he got gonna does, maybe it's a big question. I think I might like. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. It's a good question, and good halacha l'maisa. I hope that no one steals it. It might be stolen. Might be takanas hashavim. It's a good cue. But Emir Hashem, the Eibush gives us siyata d'shmaya. Morning seder during Rosh Hashanah, during Chol Moed is going to be at my house, and then after Yantif Choref Zman, we're starting at what's the place?
We don't have any concrete things. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll play it day by day. All we know is that we're doing morning seder, and I'm very excited for Choref Zman this year. It's going to be amazing. Okay.
It's more alive in 85.
More alive in 85. Rosh Hashanah Peh. Okay, so we are up to tomorrow. We're going to go back, see another Bryce that talks about Yavesh Pasul. We're going to go back to, we're talking about stolen lulavs a lot. Now we're going to talk about the dry one. Why is the dry one Pasul, and does everyone agree with that? That is for tomorrow. Shkoyach Gadol. Great way to start. Motzei Yom Kippur. We should be Zocha. And much love. And now time for some Malcolm lunch. Kotov.